So, have you ever tried posting about Linux on Facebook only to find that your post gets flagged or even removed? Well, if you did last week, you weren't alone. Facebook, or should I say Meta, mistakenly banned discussions about Linux, labeling them as malicious software, and the internet, especially the open source community, was not happy. So, let's break it down. Here's how this whole thing unfolded. The website DistroWatch, which covers Linux distributions, first raised the alarm when users reported that they couldn't post about Linux or share links to their site on Facebook. Not only that, but some users even had their accounts locked or restricted just for mentioning Linux. One Reddit user from Australia shared that simply typing DistroWatch in a Facebook post triggered an error. This wasn't just some isolated glitch, it was happening globally. And when DistroWatch tried to appeal the ban, Facebook basically said, nope, Linux related material is staying on our cybersecurity filter. And here's where it gets even crazier. Facebook, a company that runs much of its own infrastructure on Linux, was actively suppressing discussions about the very operating system it depends on. Talk about irony, right? So, after a week of backlash and complaints from the Linux community, Meta finally responded. They told PCMag that the enforcement was in error and that discussions of Linux are allowed on their services. Now, that's great and all, but here is the thing, Meta never explained why this happened. Was it a bug, a flawed AI filter, a misunderstanding of cybersecurity threats? We don't know. What we do know is that some users, including DistroWatch's own account, were still locked out even after the ban was supposedly lifted. So clearly the cleanup isn't happening as smoothly as Meta would like us to believe. Now, let's talk about why this happened. Meta uses automated moderation systems, basically AI-driven content filters, to detect and remove harmful content. The problem? These filters are far from perfect. They rely on algorithms that can scan for keywords, links and patterns, but they don't have the nuance to understand context. For example, if a website discusses software, downloads, or even cybersecurity topics, Meta's filters may flag it as a potential risk. Linux discussions often include words like terminal, commands, executables, and ISO downloads, which may have triggered an automatic classification as malicious software. The problem is, this is an overcorrection. These systems don't have the intelligence to differentiate between a Linux distro discussion and an actual malware threat. And honestly, this isn't the first time Facebook's AI had made a mess of things. We've seen this happen with everything from news censorship to flagging historical photos as graphical content. Meta admitted earlier this month that its automated system have caused way too many mistakes and unnecessary censorship, and they plan to change their approach. But considering how long this issue have been going on, I wouldn't hold my breath. So what does this incident tell us about big tech's approach to content moderation? Well, for one, it shows how broken automated filtering is. Companies like Meta rely so much on AI that they're essentially letting bots run the show. And when mistakes happen, human oversight is often too slow or ineffective to fix them in time. And here's another thing. Meta is now shifting towards a community notes system similar to what X, formerly Twitter, uses. This means users will be responsible for fact-checking and moderating content, which may actually lead to more inconsistencies. Because let's be real, if Facebook's AI couldn't even handle Linux discussions, how well do you think a user-driven system is going to work? Let's address the elephant in the room. Does big tech have a problem with Linux? The Linux community has long been skeptical of companies like Microsoft, Google, and Meta, which have historically leaned towards proprietary software and services. While Microsoft has warmed up to Linux in recent years, there's still a sense that open source software is seen as a threat to big tech's business model. I mean, think about it. Open source software is free, community-driven, and doesn't lock users into a single ecosystem. Compare that to Meta, which thrives on proprietary control and data monetization. So while this specific incident may have been a mistake, it does play into a broader pattern of big tech not really understanding or appreciating the open source world. So what can we as users do about this? First, if you're ever wrongly censored by Facebook or another platform, make some noise. The only reason this Linux ban was reversed was because enough people complained. If nobody had spoken up, Meta may have just left things as they were. Second, Consider supporting decentralized or open source social platforms, where corporate censorship isn't an issue. And third, spread awareness about how these big tech algorithms actually work, because the more people understand the flaws in AI moderation, the more pressure we can put on companies to fix them. At the end of the day, this whole situation with Facebook just proves what many of us have been saying for years. Automated moderation is flawed, and big tech doesn't always have the best interest of open source communities in mind. The good news? The Linux community is vocal, passionate, and not afraid to call out nonsense when we see it, and that's why you need to keep pushing back. But what do you think? Was this just a mistake, or does it show something deeper about how big tech views Linux? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you found this video useful, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.